You can see I love a good theme. I've got to have a farm song with my growing and planting and fertilizing. So grow where you were planted and fertilize those who were planted around you. We can learn a lot from nature. The cooperation and resilience found in nature is something spectacular. I was walking through the woods on my property a while back, and I stumbled upon a ton of air plants. They were just growing like crazy on an old oak tree with their air plant friends, no soil. If you know anything about air plants, you know they just grow where they're placed. They don't need soil, they just grow anywhere. And we often hear this phrase, grow where you are planted. Even NFL MVP Josh Allen frequently talks about how his father used this phrase all the time when he was a kid. He would say, Josh, no matter what you're doing in life, grow where you are planted. It is so important for us to be just like those air plants, and just like Josh Allen, because he's a cutie too, and grow where we are planted or placed. And as the wife of a Bills fan, I have to give shout outs to Josh Allen. However, it is also critically important that we also fertilize those planted around us. We don't often hear about this critical component of growth. There is an agricultural methodology called companion planting. This means strategically planting some plants near others because of how well they cooperate and to help each other to grow, thrive, and survive. For example, if you plant beans and peas, those are known for their ability to enrich the soil. They add fertilizer to the soil, they add nitrogen to the soil, thereby literally fertilizing those plants around them. Some plants go even further than that. The combination of pole beans, corn, and squash have actually earned themselves the nickname of the Three Sisters because of how well they support each other's growth. The squash helps to protect the soil from weeds and pests, and they help keep the soil moist with their broad, low-growing leaves. At the same time, the corn acts as a trellis for the pole beans to grow. These three plants work symbiotically to help enrich the soil, protect each other from weeds and pests, and support each other's growth. Now, how cool would it be if we could all act as the Three Sisters? We protect each other from the weeds and pests of the world and support each other's growth. Look, there's a lot of weeds and pests in this world, right? We all know it. And support each other's growth and this amazing growing sisterhood. Now, this is just what my business partner Kylie and I have done. I own two businesses. One is my legal business, Florida Ag Law, where I provide general counsel services at a fractional basis and other legal services to companies. My other business I own with my friend Kylie, and this is a consulting service called Cover Your Assets. She came up with a name, I can't take credit for it. In this business, we provide consulting services to agricultural companies, and we try to keep them out of the headlines and truly cover their assets in all ways. As you'll see here in a minute, Kylie and I really support each other in all ways. We met each other when we were first working about 7 years ago at a company here in Seminole County called A. Duda & Sons. Well, we were in departments that could have been at extreme odds with each other. I was an attorney in the legal department, she was in safety and food safety compliance, and while we could have been really territorial over cross-departmental functions such as risk and compliance, we actually took quite the opposite approach. As she said to me recently, gosh, I was such a fangirl on the phone with you the first time, and that feeling was mutual. I felt the same way about her. I read something recently that said, when two givers become friends, it's like magic. I water you, you water me, we never drain each other, and we just grow. And this really resonated with me because it describes my relationship with Kylie perfectly. So, a lot of times in business, there's this temptation to be very territorial and to scream, get off my lawn. But you know what's really cool is when we can see each other's strengths and skill sets, and we can leverage those strengths and skill sets to ensure incredible growth by all parties. Legal and compliance really have that temptation to scream, get off my lawn. But what could have been a very territorial and combative and competitive relationship actually turned into an amazing relationship where we've both grown personally and professionally. Not too long after Kylie started at Duda, my husband and I adopted 5 boys out of the foster system. They were ages 22 months to 7 years old when we got them. And our local office of Duda here actually threw an adoption shower for me. Kylie was based in the Belgrade location, and she drove all the way up from Belgrade just for my adoption shower. She loved my kids before she knew them, and in that way, she was nourishing and nurturing them before she even had met them. And about 3 years after we left Duda, we were both still great friends, supporting each other's personal and professional endeavors, And in fact, we frequently served as each other's +1s to industry events because, well, our husbands had to stay back with the kids. So we went off to industry events all across the state of Florida, and we discovered our mutual love of hot tubs. I think we have closed down hot tubs in every nook and cranny of the state of Florida, and we've even joked we should start a podcast called The Steamy Side of Compliance and record it in hot tubs. Stay tuned, this may be forthcoming. So, after a little while of this level of support and friendship, we looked at each other and said, why don't we just go into business together? And the rest, as they say, is history. So as I mentioned earlier, my husband and I adopted 5 boys out of the foster system. And even though they were pretty young when we adopted them, sometimes trauma still bubbles up to the surface. It doesn't matter how young they are. And it's so great to have a business partner who's there to support you, pray for you, and talk you through these tough times when trauma bubbles up to the surface. And that level of support and nourishment goes both ways. Back in February, Kylie and I were supposed to go to National Watermelon Convention. We had all our outfits picked out, our watermelon earrings, our dresses. We like a good theme. We both love a good theme. And about a week before we were set to go, Kylie had a family emergency arise, and we had to leave 2 days later than we expected. No big deal. We rolled with it. I understood that her family obligations came first, and we went out and had a great 2 days of networking, learning, and eating in Austin, Texas. And I think that we all know that most people don't get this level of support and nourishment at work. But what if I told you this could be the level of support and nourishment that we get at work? It has to start somewhere. So why can't it start with all of us? This thing that Kylie and I have built, would any of this have been possible if we had viewed each other as competitors at UNA? No, not at all. It was through collaboration, respect, and teamwork that we developed this relationship. And years later, we're seeing the fruits of our collaboration still. So you see, Kylie and I are much like the squash, in that we help protect each other from the weeds and the pests of the world. Much like the corn, we act as a trellis so that we can grow to our full potential like the pole beans. As business partners, we support each other personally, professionally, and spiritually, and none of this would have happened if we hadn't chose to fertilize each other where we were planted. Now I have a job for you. Look to the person to the left of you and say, I'll be your squash.
I'll be your squash.
Now look to the person to the right of you and say, I'll be your corn. And I want you guys to mean that. So it's my hope as we leave here today that you all go out and you fertilize those around you. Go be the squash, the corn, and the pole beans. As business leaders, let's strive to be the 3 sisters of the companies and the communities we serve. Thank you.